everyone, and welcome back to Brink of Speed. Today is my 1-year review of this absolutely amazing 2015 Chevrolet Corvette Z06. And I want to give you guys a very in-depth review of exactly what I've experienced since I bought this car 1 year ago. Before I get started, I first of all want to tell you about a couple of things. Number one, the shirt that I have on represents a C5 Corvette. And that's how this all got started. In 2005, I bought my first C5 Z06 Corvette. It had 1,700 miles on it. It was a 2003 50th anniversary Z06. And immediately I fell in love with this car and realized that my dream of owning a Corvette had become real, and everything that I thought about the Corvette had also become very true. And I was experiencing a legendary sports car. And so moving on, my next Corvette I bought in 2016, and it was a 2009 Corvette Z06. And if you've seen my channel from the very beginning till now, you will know that I did some videos on that car, but I've had this now for a year and done a lot more videos on this car than that one. I've owned 3 Corvette Z06s, and out of all 3 of them, the C7 blows them away. And so I want to go through the ups and downs of this car. By the way, there's way more ups than downs, but I do want to talk about those. I want to go through the modifications that I've done to this car, the interior and how amazing it still is, the exterior and how amazing it still is, and then give you my final conclusion. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the exterior of this car. Where can you find a car that looks this good, that's less than $100,000, that has 650 horsepower? You can't. There's no other car like it. There's no other car in this price range that has this kind of power that looks that good. And by the way, this car now has almost 12,000 miles on it. I bought it in July of 2018. It had 3,400 miles on it. So basically I've put about 7,600 miles on this car. I'm gonna go ahead and take the top off of this car because you won't be able to see the inside where I point out certain things if I don't have it off. So I'm gonna go ahead and give the few minor issues the bad before the good, because I want to get that out of the way, because the rest of this video is going to be nothing but good and amazing things. So the first issue that I have with this car was actually right inside here. So it was right here where the seatbelt goes in. That whole area was making a squeaking noise, and it was really, really weird and very annoying. And so that was the first thing, and I'm going to tell you one more thing before I tell you how we fixed it. The other area was this top that I just took off, and for some reason GM uses very cheap gaskets in these things. And so anyway, I took it to the dealership, actually Corvette World, and they had to do a couple of things to the top because the top had a creak, and it also was extremely annoying. So I had them fix that. I had them fix the squeak in the seatbelt area, and those are gone. So those were 2 things that I had fixed by Corvette World. But I'm gonna backpedal a little bit because I had 2 major issues before that even happened, and this was at a racetrack. I took this car to the racetrack a couple weeks after I bought it, and it was a road course, and I love going on road courses, as many of you know. And I was out there for probably 15-20 minutes, and luckily the checkered flag flew and everybody slowed down. I was only going about 50 miles an hour, and my brakes went all the way to the floor. Long story short, Chevy puts .3 brake fluid in all of these cars until 2019. Blows my mind. Then they put .4 in them, and now all of a sudden you've got true high temperature brake fluid in your cars. Now this car comes with carbon ceramic brakes. It's a Z07 package, so that even more blew my mind that it had .3 brake fluid in it. And if the checkered flag wouldn't have flown, I probably would have been in the hospital from a very bad crash, because the straightaway, the front stretch and the back straight, I was going well over 130 miles an hour and braking down to about 40-50 miles an hour. So it could have been really bad. So long story short, again, we got that fixed at the track, got .4 brake fluid in there, and went back out. Probably 15 minutes later, after I went back out, I had what happens to a lot of automatic Z06s, basically the year 16 and 15. I overheated. It went into limp mode, and I had to shut it down, get off the track, and that was the end of my day. So those were the two things that I experienced at the track. Now there's one final thing that I've had an issue with, and I thought I had it fixed, but it's not yet. And that is the lurching forward when you come to a stop sign in this car. The 8-speed automatics are doing it in all of the C7 Corvettes. Come to a stop sign or a stoplight and it lurches forward. It feels very awkward. I had the transmission fluid changed at Classic Chevrolet. They're getting me back in Monday actually to get this resolved, but they changed it and it didn't fix it all the way. So they're saying that they did it 3 times, and sometimes it takes a 4th time to get it all the way fixed. So that's the 5th and final thing that I've had that was a minor inconvenience, nothing major. So let's get off the bad topics and let's go over the modifications that I've done to this car. I'm going to start with the very first thing that I did, and this was really cool. ACS Composites, if you haven't heard of them, look them up on the internet because they have awesome products for your car. They reached out to me and asked me if I wanted some extra large front rock guards for my car. And this is what they sent me. And let me tell you, they are a lifesaver when it comes to rocks. Now, when you're driving down the road, it's impossible for rocks to skip up on the side of your car. They stay off of the side here. So right before I got these put on, I just happened to get a major rock chip. I hope you guys can see that okay, but it's right here. So a rock flew up and nailed the car, and I was so disappointed. And literally a couple weeks after that happened, I had these at my front doorstep and put them on, and I haven't had a rock issue since. Now moving along, ACS Composites also sent me the rear diffuser fins for this car, which obviously look absolutely gorgeous. My car's a little dirty right now, I apologize, but as you can see there, they are a fantastic addition to this already aggressive looking Corvette Z06. So those were the first 2 modifications that I did. The third modification that I did had to do with the magnetic ride suspension. Now, if you know anything about the C7 Z06, the Z51 Stingray, and the Grand Sport, and then obviously the new ZR1, they all come with magnetic ride suspension. And GM did a very major update on this suspension not too long ago. And you can take your car to GM, it's $350, and you get that full update. Your car has to sit for 24 hours after they do the update, and let me tell you, it makes a giant difference in the way that this car handles and the way that it runs smooth over bumps, under acceleration, under braking, and just driving, you know, an everyday drive. It makes a giant difference. This car literally feels like a Cadillac. So I consider myself getting extremely lucky when I bought this car for a number of reasons, but number one, because the previous owner actually had a lot of this car expelled. He had the entire front bumper expelled. He also had the stinger expelled, the hood up to here expelled. He had the entire roof expelled, the mirror, and this whole panel right here was expelled. And so I feel pretty lucky that he had all of that done before I bought the car, because that's expensive stuff, and boy, does it help. I'm not scared, you know, for rock chips because I've got all this protection. And so let's go ahead and move on into the next subject, which is the wear and tear on this car after 12,000 miles. As you can see, it's actually a little bit dirty right now, but even with it being dirty, this car is fantastic looking. It's absolutely gorgeous. It looks better to me every time I see it. Let's move on to the inside. The inside is also super impressive. First of all, this is a 3LZ, so as you can see, it comes with the Alcantara up here. It's got Alcantara up here. Also on the A pillars, the B pillars. The leather seats, where you would normally see a lot of wear and tear, there is none. They've held up. This is a little bit creased here. And again, my car's a little bit dirty. I apologize for that. As you can see though, everything is still immaculate after 12,000 miles. And that's how I keep my cars. I mean, I really go to all lengths to keep this thing spotless. So anyway, the wear and tear on this car is fantastic. As you can see, it has done an amazing job of standing up to what I've put it through, even though I haven't really put it through that much. It's done an amazing job of standing up to it. And speaking of standing up to things, this car came standard with the Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires. And most people were telling me on the forums and even on YouTube that I was only going to get probably around, you know, 5,000 to 6,000 miles out of them, and maybe even less than that. I was able to get 9,000 miles with those tires on there. And then I went ahead and switched them out for the Continental Extreme Contact Sports, and they are the pluses, as you can see. And let me tell you something. Not only are they an amazing everyday driver type tire, but they handle well in the rain, and they handle amazing at the track. They have so much grip. And while we're down here, let's go ahead and talk about those massive carbon ceramic brakes. These things are so freaking awesome. Not only do they have the best stopping power that I've ever felt in any car, but they also do not spread brake dust anywhere. It literally takes a couple of weeks of not washing this car to have brake dust on those wheels. I'm telling you right now, these carbon ceramic brakes are just awesome. Now, as you know, I do not daily drive this car at all, but I could definitely daily drive it. And if I had, you know, a different job where I was sitting at a cubicle or something and I didn't need a truck, then I would daily drive that car, and it would be just as good as any other daily driver. When my wife and I take it out together, we usually take it out to go shopping at the grocery store. Sounds kind of lame, I know. But I will say, we do a lot of shopping at Costco and Kroger, and we have a lot of groceries when we're done. And that back hatch fits them all. So the amazing thing about this back hatch is it is very roomy. It's basically got these, you know, guards up to help stop stuff from moving forward. And also it has this net, and this net comes in big time handy. So we always fill this up with groceries to stop it from sliding all over. And then I always use this and put groceries in there. I can usually fit a few things in there, and that shuts and it keeps it from sliding all around. I've also put 2 things of golf clubs back there, and could have fit a third, but 2 is very easy to fit. So that's another great part about this car. You can fit pretty much anything you want back there within reason, and it's functional. It's functional space. So yes, it definitely could be a daily driver. Now I have 2 more points that I want to make about this car. And so the first one is the comfort and ride. As I told you, this car with the Mag Ride update is like a Cadillac. It's like a dream. But even before I had that done, it was already very comfortable when you put it in tour mode. It already soaked up a lot of the bumps. Even though it soaks up more now, it already did. And so that's another big reason why this car can easily be a daily driver. The other reason is because of sound. Most of the time when you buy a super expensive sports car like this, or I should say supercar, with a V8 in it and a big exhaust in the rear, you can't quiet that down, and it comes with a droning sound while you're driving down the highway, or, you know, at certain RPMs, even in town. Well, let me give you some great news. Most people already know this, but there's some that don't. When you turn this thing to tour mode or below, Eco, Tour, and Weather, it completely shuts off the exhaust, and you barely even hear this car. And so that's another reason why this is such a great car to own. It's a very, very quiet experience while you're driving this car until you want the loud experience. Once you want the loud experience, it's there. It's at your fingertips. So you just turn it to sport mode or track mode, and you've got the loud exhaust. Now let's wrap up here with my conclusion. My conclusion about this Corvette Z06 is, again, I've owned 3 Corvette Z06s. This is by far my favorite experience. It is on a whole different level than any other Corvette that I've owned or driven. And I would highly suggest that if you are considering the C7, you're not waiting on the C8 at all, go out and buy one as soon as you possibly can. Whether it is a regular Stingray, a Grand Sport, a Z06, or a ZR1, go buy one. You will not regret it. I guarantee it. So that's going to do it, folks. I hope you enjoyed this 1-year update. It's been an absolute amazing adventure with this car. It's been an amazing adventure with you guys at Brink of Speed community. I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for your wonderful support, for your wonderful comments. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know whether you're going to go out and buy one of these now, whether you already own one. Always, always, always send me photos of your cars, guys. Send them to me. If you're proud of that car, I will feature it on this channel at the end of my video. And so I hope each and every one of you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And I want to see you out on the road as usual. But now, let's check out some of your beautiful rides.